How do you make decisions in life? Are you the kind of person that sits about and waits for inspiration to strike? Do you often procrastinate completing important tasks? Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode on my channel, Wonder Boho Book Club. Today I'll be talking about the book, The 5-Second Rule, Transform Your Life, Work and Confidence with Everyday Courage, written by Mel Robbins. Melanie Robbins is an American lawyer, television host, author, and motivational speaker. Robbins is known for covering the George Zimmerman trial for CNN, her TEDx talk, How to Stop Screwing Yourself Over, and her books, The 5-Second Rule and The High Five Habit. She also has multiple podcast series hosted on Audible. In The 5-Second Rule, Robbins uses the science of habits, riveting stories, and surprising facts from some of the most famous moments in history, art, and business to give you one simple tool you can use to become your greatest self. It takes just 5 seconds to use this tool, and every time you do it, you will benefit from it immensely. More than 8 million people have watched Mel's TEDx talk, and executives working for the world's largest brands are using the tool to increase productivity, collaboration, and engagement. In the 5-Second Rule, you will discover it takes just 5 seconds to become confident, break the habit of procrastination and self-doubt, beat fear and uncertainty, stop worrying and feel happier, share your ideas with courage, and much more. Before moving ahead, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Part 1. A simple tool. Throughout our lives, we are told by our family, friends, teachers, mentors, etc. that we need to get past our fears and excuses in order to achieve what we desire. However, when push comes to shove, we often find ourselves lacking the required push or impetus that will propel us in the desired direction. Robbins illustrates this further by reminiscing about the time when she was going through a rough patch in her life. As a result of her financial difficulties and alcoholism, she was desperately in need of help. She became so used to clicking the snooze button to prolong the start of a day that it had become a chronic habit for her. She would repeatedly fail to pack the lunch for her kids, put them on the school bus, and stick to other deadlines as well. One day, while watching a rocket launching commercial on the TV, Mel had an epiphany. Just like the rocket, she decided to launch herself out of bed the next morning at the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Accordingly, when she woke up at 6 o'clock by the sound of her alarm clock the next morning, rather than hitting the snooze button, Robbins started her day by counting down from 5. Mel calls this technique of counting down to 5 as the 5-Second Rule. This technique is helpful in distracting yourself from your worries and refocusing your attention on what you should be doing instead of succumbing to cravings that provide immediate gratification. Not only that, it's also possible to interrupt a pattern of bad behaviors by doing this on a regular basis. The 5-second guideline helped Robbins transform her life on many levels, be it going out of her comfort zone and starting running regularly, or updating her resume. In 1954, psychologist Julian Rotter coined a concept known as the locus of control. The concept is based on the premise that there is a correlation between people's perceptions of outside factors dominating their life and their level of productivity. Every so often, we are encouraged to keep an eye out for chances and seize them when they present themselves. However, Robbins says that it's better to take charge of your own future and create possibilities for yourself. In Robbins' terms, this is the power of the push, and the 5-second rule could be just what you need. Part 2. Unleash the fearless within you. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a municipal bus to a white man on a frigid December night in 1955. Despite its modest size, this act of resistance was a watershed event in the struggle for civil rights because it demonstrates the big actions are not always necessary to effect change. Although unimagined initially, Rosa Parks' act evolved into a revolution that would alter the course of history. People started organizing a boycott of segregated buses 4 days after Parks was jailed, and they chose a 26-year-old pastor to be their spokesperson. It occurred so rapidly that I did not have time to think it through, the pastor would later write. If I had, I'm sure I would have turned down the opportunity. The preacher was none other than Martin Luther King Jr. The natural inclination of Parks and King to struggle against injustice was not a result of their self-perception as heroic individuals in their daily lives. Despite this, they did it. Their impulses clashed with their ideas and ambitions, and they felt the strength of the push. The 5-second rule works precisely because of this style of thinking. It's hardly a major life shift, but counting backwards from 5 may help you become a more fearless person. Living in a society that injects us with cautions like play it safe and don't be daring, following the 5-second rule makes it possible to move in a way that leads to new possibilities. Every day is a new opportunity to either take the next step in your journey towards greatness or to remain in a comfortable and regular routine. And it's up to you how you steer your life ahead. If you want to achieve greatness in your life, you must be willing to put yourself through the discomfort of taking a risk by embracing the 5 seconds rule. The people who went down in history all had humble beginnings, just like the rest of us. They transformed themselves into powerful personalities by mastering their anxieties. You can do the same, only if you learn to overcome your fears. Part 3. Stop waiting around. Overcoming our fears does not necessarily mean that we have to move mountains in order for effective change to take place. Doing something simple, like being more proactive and participative at work, can significantly change your image at your workplace. Similarly, being polite to others may go a long way towards brightening someone else's day. All these start with an urge on your part to make a choice, which sometimes could be the hardest thing to do. It's not easy getting out of the rut, and you may procrastinate for days on end, deluding yourself into thinking that you're only waiting for the propitious opportunity to knock on your door. However, this may eventually become your habit, and tomorrow may never come. We all aspire for a better, more successful life, but what makes it difficult to maintain the inspiration to achieve what we desire is the lack of push. Here, the author cites the example of Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple Incorporated. When Wozniak and Jobs received funds to establish their own company in 1977, Wozniak was assailed by doubts as to whether he should leave his day job and take the plunge. However, if he had kept waiting for the right opportunity, he wouldn't be where he is today. A similar lesson can be learned from E.L. James, the author of the 50 Shades of Grey series. She cherished the dream of writing a book, and when the time came, she didn't wait for a lucrative publishing agreement before beginning the project. In her spare time, despite her full-time job as a working mother, she managed to write, and self-publish a book that she was really proud of. The result was nothing short of a miracle. 1 million copies of a book were sold in only 4 days. If she hadn't shown the courage to take the initiative, none of this would have occurred. Part 4. Master your actions. It's no secret that professional athletes serve as a major source of motivation for the general public. Sports people are role models because they are living testimonies to the infinite human potential for achievement when the mind and body are pushed to their limits via intense training and competition. For some professional athletes, the capacity to break beyond their own physical boundaries is a matter of one basic quality. They have the capacity to distance themselves from their feelings of exhaustion and continue to run, swim, or cycle. Athletes understand that emotions are only suggestions, and that it's often preferable to disregard them while working towards a goal. This is an important lesson to remember, since our choices are often influenced more by our emotions than by a clear sense of purpose. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio claims that emotions have a significant role in 95% of our judgments. To put it another way, we tend to act on our feelings rather than on our thoughts. Damasio conducted studies on persons with brain injuries who were unable to feel emotions. Although they could enumerate the advantages and disadvantages of any option, inability to feel emotions impaired their capacity of decision-making. This led Damasio to conclude that human beings aren't thinking machines that feel, but rather feeling machines that think. The 5-second rule helps us master control over our anxieties and other negative feelings and take control of our lives. Also known as psychological intervention, this rule alters our behavior and gives us the self-confidence to conquer the psychological barriers that stand in our way. Part 5. Fighting Procrastination. Here, Robbins talks about the necessary evil of modern age, technology. The irony of modern technology, such as smartphones and tablets, cannot be overstated. Although designed with the intention of making our lives easier, in reality they have proved to be the ultimate sources of distraction and increased our procrastination tendencies by leaps and bounds. Procrastination can be helpful, but it can also be destructive. Procrastination becomes especially destructive when we put things off, even after knowing it will cause us serious harm. Procrastination was once attributed solely to poor time management and a lack of self-control by experts. But now we know that procrastination is not just laziness, but rather a side effect of how we handle stress. Procrastination, according to studies, is the result of our strong subconscious desire for immediate gratification. We are drawn to procrastination because it provides us with an immediate, albeit brief, respite from the pressures of daily life. The pressure to meet a deadline at work isn't the only thing that makes us want to run away. In today's fast-paced world, most of us have to deal with persistent financial or interpersonal problems. Procrastination gives us respite from all these stressful situations. What Robbins suggests here is that instead of drowning yourself in laziness and procrastination, start using the 5-second rule as soon as you start feeling the urge to procrastinate or deviate from your path. Practice using this rule as often as you can, so that it becomes ingrained in your subconscious and turns into a habit. Once you start using it for this purpose, you will notice an immediate improvement in your ability to take control of your life. Part 6. The Power of Gratitude. We might wonder how we became so prone to worrying in the first place. Well, thanks to our overprotective parents, Most of us were instilled with fear in our early childhood. We were told to be cautious of things like catching a cold, talking to strangers, etc., or to be afraid of others' disapproval of us, transgressing our social boundaries, etc. Since then, we have become grown-ups who spend way too much time worrying about things we can't influence. And the truth is that we'll probably grow to regret spending so much time worrying about the little things. Dr. Carl Pilmer, a professor at Cornell University, conducted a 10-year-long study on life's purpose, involving more than 1,200 senior citizens. What he discovered was that most older folks believed that they had spent too much time of their lives worrying and fretting over insignificant things, and deeply regretted it. Robbins says that instead of regretting at a later stage of your life, make an effort to transform your life right now. She suggests taking 5 seconds to calmly count down from 5 to regain control of your thoughts when you're feeling overwhelmed by anxiety. Also, try to focus on the positive aspects of your life, like your relationships, your work, etc., and be grateful for what life has to offer you at present. Every cloud has a silver lining, and every situation in life has something to teach us. Conclusion. Life is unpredictable. Things may change at any time. Your habits, perspective, and aspects of character are all malleable. Use the 5-second rule to simply count backwards from 5 in order to reprogram your subconscious and instill healthy, life-affirming habits. The very modest act of altering the way you make choices may lead to a significant redefining of who you are, how you feel, and how you perceive life. Thank you for watching this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe. Your comments, likes, and shares are highly appreciated. See you soon in our next episode.